Welcome back. This is part 3 of our engine rebuilding series for the KTM Group LC8C engine. So again, that's your 790s, 890s, and 901s. This video is all about cleaning and inspecting your parts. We will be doing a separate cylinder head rebuilding video. So if that's what you're looking for, go check it out. And if you need to get to this point, go check out the first 2 videos. So with that being said, again, always refer to your model-specific service manual throughout the process for more information and specs. To get everything cleaned up, we have a variety of brushes, gasket scrapers, razor blades. I'm also using a flexible hone on the cylinders, and then I'm going to be using a thread chaser kit to clean up all of the threads for assembly. And then you want to get everything sprayed off and cleaned up. So we're going to be using 4 to 5 bottles of contact cleaner. Might as well just get a 6-pack and have a little extra just to make sure. There's a lot of parts to clean up. Now, other than that, we're going to be using some measuring tools. So we've got digital calipers right here. This is actually a 2-stroke timing kit from Motion Pro, but we need a dial indicator. This one is measuring in millimeters, so it goes down to 0.01 millimeters. Very fine measurements, but if you're measuring in inches, that's going to be great too. With that, we're going to be using a truing stand. You can use V-blocks instead. Then we're going to be using some filler gauges along with a straight edge. We've got micrometers that range from 1 inch all the way to 4 inches. I'm going to be using a dial bore gauge for the cylinder. If you don't have one of these, you can use some snap gauges instead. The dial bore gauge is going to be a little more accurate though. Now, if you need gasket scrapers, contact cleaner, the thread chaser kit, or anything like that, or parts or tools for your machine, you can find that stuff on our website or just click the link in the description below. To start out, I'm going to remove these plain bearings. Now, I do want to point out before you remove them, this is something I recommend replacing every single time you're in here. It is a wear item, but for any reason, if you're not going to replace them, you want to keep track of which bearing goes in which location. And when you handle these, you want to make sure you are wearing some rubber gloves because your fingerprint can get burned into that bearing surface if you don't have gloves on. And as you pull these out, pay attention on the side. You should have a color coding. That's just letting you know what size it is. We will be going over measurements and things like that in a later step, but if you see a lot of wear in here or the surface feels rough, then you would definitely need to be replacing this bearing. I would recommend ordering multiple sizes of the plain bearings, and that way when you have everything apart, you've got everything handy and ready to go. Remove any remaining gaskets. Next, we're going to clean up our sealing surfaces using a gasket scraper, a razor blade, and a wire brush. We're going to clean all that off with a rag and some contact cleaner. And we just want to make sure any of these silicone chunks or any gasket material doesn't get in oil passageways. So we're going to be wiping all of that stuff off with a rag. Next, we're going to remove these oil jets with a 6mm socket. Now, as you're going through this cleaning process, just keep in mind it's really important to stay clean and organized. We've got some fresh oil absorbent mats that we're laying out everything on. And as we do that, we're paying attention and making sure that we're keeping the same order for all of the parts so we don't get one side confused with the other. The other thing to pay attention to while you're cleaning is if you see any visible damage to any parts, make sure you take note, write those down, and get the new ones on order. And as you clean your case halves and sealing surfaces, the goal here is just to make sure the surface is nice and clean. You don't want to be adding any additional scratches, so be careful. And if you do use a wire brush like us, just make sure it's a smaller wire brush. If you get too coarse with the bristles, it can scratch that surface. This is an optional step, but we are going to clean them up with a flexible hone. We've got a separate video that guides you through the process on how to do that. If you go that route, just make sure you clean these cylinders out with some warm soapy water. Now, even if you didn't use a flexible hone on your cylinders, you want to make sure you get these nice and cleaned off. We're going to be using some contact cleaner, and make sure you spray through all the oil passageways as well and make sure they're free and clear. Next, we're going to remove the circlips from our pistons on one side. push that piston pin through. The plain bearings for the big end on the connecting rod, they will have that color coding. And you always want to replace both of the connecting rod bolts on each side, but we're going to hang on to them, and that way if we use plastic gauge, we can use the old bolts while we do that and then use the new bolts on assembly. Then we'll remove that bearing shell and clean each of the rods off. All right, now that we have everything cleaned up, we are ready to make some inspections. Most of these will be a visual inspection. You can tell a lot about what's going on just by doing that, but there are some measurements you're going to want to take. You're going to want to have a micrometer and even a dial indicator. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the plain bearings first. All right, so in my left hand, I've got a brand new plain bearing. The more your bearings look like this, the better off you are. In my right hand, this one's a little more worn down. This is what we took out. This is one of our rod bearings. You can see it does have signs of wear. So if you see grooves worn in or anywhere that the coating is worn through, that's indicating wear. Here's another good example of it. You can see there's one spot on this bearing that the coating is pretty much almost all the way worn through. Now we can take some measurements to find out if we can reuse the bearings or not, but again, when you're in here, I recommend just getting them replaced. The other thing you want to pay attention to is embedded foreign material. So if you see little chunks that are pressed into here, then odds are your crank's probably damaged as well, and you're going to have to be replacing that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is a spun plain bearing. So these have little tabs that keep these in place, and it prevents them from spinning inside the case half or in the connecting rods. Now, if you do come across a bearing that has spun, whether it's in the connecting rod, you'll notice that the big end on that rod, it's going to have some damage and you'll need to replace it. Same thing on the crankcase. If you've noticed this has spun inside of there, that case is going to be damaged and will need to be replaced. Now for the crank, you want to take a look at the main bearing journals and the crank pins, and we're just going to look for visible signs of damage here. So if there's any grooves or if you see any visible wear, then you're going to want to be replacing this. Ours look really good. We're going to take measurements. We're going to write each of those measurements down for the journals and the crank pins, and then we can match each of those measurements to the correct bearing size. And then if you are installing a brand new crank, it's going to have some indicators on there to let you know which color of plain bearing to use. Now the next step is not a must, but I do recommend doing it. So we're going to put this crank in a truing stand and we're going to measure the run out. Generally speaking, you want to be 2/1000ths of an inch or less on the run out. If you are going to order some parts and this is going to be sitting out for a couple days, it's a good idea to have these crank journals supported. So I would put some of those old bearing shells back into the case half and let this rest inside of there. Now this primary gear, it can be removed and pressed back on. You want to follow the instructions in the manual if you plan on doing that, but if you have to replace your crankshaft, it's going to come with this gear. Next, we're going to do a visual inspection on the connecting rod. So we're going to take a look at the small end first. You just want to make sure you don't see any visible signs of wear or grooves inside that small end. I've got a new wrist pin right here. I'm going to make sure that fits nice and tight, that there's not a lot of free play in there. So this one's feeling really good. It looks good. If you have any questions about the small end or the big end, there are measurements outlined in the manual. You can use a snap gauge and micrometer to do those, but we're just making sure that we see these crosshatch marks. If you see any signs of visible damage or signs that the bearing spun inside of here, again, that is cause for replacement. Now for the balancer shaft, we're going to take a look at this gear. Make sure you don't see any damage on that. You also have a collar right here for your water pump. Make sure that's in good condition. We're going to be replacing the O-ring that's underneath that as well. These three spots where the plain bearings are going to ride on this, just again, check for any grooves or damage. These are looking real good. And these bearings, you can only get one size, so you can go ahead and order those right away. And then right here, this is just a quick look at where those plain bearings sit. Again, make sure you don't see any grooves or signs that the bearing has spun. Then for any bearings, this is going to apply to all of them throughout the engine. If you plan on reusing them, just make sure you have them cleaned up. I recommend applying just a little bit of lube on there. Make sure they rotate smoothly. You also want to check for any lateral or radial play. And if you notice any issues, definitely get that bearing replaced. You also want to look at your needle bearings. If you see any flat spots or damage, get those replaced. And then inspecting roller bearings, it's very similar. Check for any pitting or flat spots. You also need to take a look at that inner race, look for any damage, and again, check for play. Next, we're going to take a look at the cylinders. So cross hatching is the first thing I'm going to be looking for and making sure that is still there. Obviously, we did run a flexible hone through these, but we saw some cross hatching before we ever did that. With that being said, if you had a completely smooth and polished surface and don't see cross hatching when you first take it apart, I would recommend taking some measurements. Those are outlined in the manual. You may need to get your cylinder replated, but the other thing you can check for is a ridge at the top. If you can feel a groove up there, they call it a ring ridge. If you actually feel that, then this thing is way overdue for a replate. So those are some telltale signs. The other thing you want to look for is any visible signs of damage or scoring inside the cylinder that catches a fingernail. If you see any damage like that, it means the cylinder is bad and you're either going to have to replace this or you're going to have to get this recoated. Then for the pistons, you can see we have signs of scuffing and some light scoring. So it's time to replace these. You can take measurements outlined in the manual, but if you're this deep in the engine, I recommend replacing your piston and rings as well at the same time. And as of now, these are only offered in one size. So it's really important to make sure your cylinders are in good condition. And then obviously, as we go back together, we're going to be replacing all of our seals, gaskets, and O-rings. Next, we're going to inspect our transmission. So right here, I've got some bad gears out of a different transmission just to show you a few things to be looking for. So one of the main things to be looking at are these gear dogs and these slots where they ride. You can see these corners are rounded off and it's also worn into these slots. So with that being just that worn down, this was actually jumping out of gear. So pay attention to that. And then also with it jumping out of gear, it was putting load on the shift fork. It has some galling inside of this groove. And there's also signs of damage on the shift fork itself. So if your bike was jumping out of gear, be looking at that stuff. So right over here, I'm going to show you most of the inspections just on one shaft. If you need to know more about disassembling and rebuilding a transmission, we do have a separate video that covers all of that stuff. The main thing to keep in mind here is you have fixed gears. So this gear is actually part of the shaft. You've got sliding gears like this, and then you have freewheeling gears. So the gear dogs are what engage and lock the freewheeling gears in place. That's what allows the constant mesh transmission to work. So with that being said, you just want to make sure that the sliding gears go back and forth nice and easy. The freewheeling gears, make sure they rotate well and that there's no play. If you feel play in there, obviously something is worn out, or if it feels rough, you need to take this apart and fix the transmission. So with that being said, the other thing you want to look at is the teeth. So you want to make sure none of these are chipped or broken. Sometimes when these start to wear out, the teeth are going to get really narrow and you're going to see a sharp edge and visible signs of wear. So if that happens, make sure you replace the mating gear as well. All right, now for the shift forks, we want to make sure this rail is not bent. So we're going to slide this all the way up and down. We know that's straight, we're good to go there. The fork itself, you want to take a look at the pads and look for any signs of wear. You can take a measurement if you see any, but signs of wear, I'll just be getting it replaced. The other thing, if it was jumping out of gear, the fork could have bent. If it did, you're going to see an additional wear mark down here. Now on the back side, we have this pin. Again, jumping out of gear, sometimes one side of the pin will flatten out. So take a look at that. You want to make all those same inspections to the other shift forks as well and the other shift rail. Now for the shift drum, you want to take a look at these grooves where the pin rides. And we're gonna be making sure that these high points aren't worn down. If they are, you wanna get this replaced. We've already talked about bearing inspection. These don't go bad very often. You also wanna look at this star wheel. This is where that stopper arm rests. Make sure that's in good condition, and also look at the pins. These are looking great. We know we are good to go. Next, we're gonna take a look at the cam chain guides. The main thing we're looking for here is if you see grooves worn into the guide from the cam chain, you wanna replace it. This is not cracked or broken anywhere, so these are good to go. The cam chain is another item that I would recommend replacing while you're in here. We did mark one side of this with our paint pen, so we keep the same orientation as before if we were gonna reuse it. The other thing you wanna look at, you can pull the chain up and down like this, and if you find links that bind, then you know the cam chain is worn out and needs to be replaced. But again, I highly recommend replacing this. Next, we're gonna take a look at our one-way clutch or one-way bearing. Make sure the surface on this gear is good. And inside of here, you're gonna be able to see visual signs of wear if this is worn out. One check you can do to verify. Rotate that in place, make sure it rotates freely in one direction and locks if you try to go the other way. Then on the other side, we've already talked about needle bearings. We're also gonna make sure the screens are not clogged or damaged. And then moving on to clutch stuff, again, already talked about bearings. Take a look at these springs. So refer to your service manual. You can take a measurement with your calipers end to end. If they're out of spec, make sure you get them replaced. Now for the clutch plates, you can measure the thickness of the friction material and check the stills for warpage. One quick check I like to make, I like to just look at the stills. If I see signs of bluing or discoloration, I know the complete clutch pack needs to be replaced. Now this one, it looks like it's somewhere in between. If they get real bad, you're gonna see areas that you can tell are higher than others, and there's lots of marks. And sometimes that friction material is worn almost all the way down. With this one being somewhere in between, we're putting all new parts in this engine, and it's just cheap insurance to make sure I don't have issues out on the trail. So we're gonna put a new one in. Now for the hub and basket, there's a few checks you wanna make. So right where the friction discs ride, you wanna make sure you don't see any grooves or visible damage on those. We also have a bearing in here. We're making sure that's good. And then you wanna take a look at the splines on the hub and the basket. Just get one of these steel discs, and we can load it to one side, run it up and down, and then load it to the other side, run it up and down. If it catches anywhere, the hub's gonna need to be replaced. We can do the same thing with a friction. In the basket, you can see we actually have some signs that the plates have been rubbing on here, but I can't feel them with my finger. I don't think they're gonna be an issue, but load it to each side, make sure it doesn't catch. We're looking really good on that. If it was catching, obviously you would need to replace this, and you're gonna see some wear on these tabs on the friction discs. And then on the back of the basket, make sure the gear is in good condition, and we're gonna make sure that it doesn't rotate independently of the basket. If it does, again, you would need to get this replaced. Now working on the cam holder, if you need to remove this balancer, maybe you think the bearings are bad or something like that, what you need to do is remove this screw, and then you can use an M10 bolt to help pull this shaft out. Pay attention to where the washers are, and you can replace that bearing. That's it for cleaning and inspecting our engine parts. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments below. We have OEM parts on our website, so if you need to pick anything up, just click the link in the description below and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. Follow us over to the next video. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.